Hello. So a couple of years ago, I made this project, and some people asked how they can do it themselves. So I'm just quickly gonna walk you through the whole process and show you how to set up this whole thing. So first of all, I'm just gonna show you how I did it years ago, how it was all set up, and then I'll make a new scene completely from scratch, so it will be easier to follow. So the whole thing is basically revolves around a camera traveling through this Z space. And you can just see it right here. If you click active camera, you can select the custom view. You can see that our camera is basically traveling forward, and that creates the whole effect. We have the space layer, and we also have some stars to basically create this effect. And also we have some complementary layers just to sell the effect. So that's that's basically it. So it's very simple rig. So I'm just gonna just create it from scratch. So I'm just gonna import my space scene, and I find this space image on Google. Basically, you can just Google anything. Space stars right here, and you can just select any layer you want. I really like this one, so I'm just gonna be working with this one. So first of all, I'm just gonna create a new composition. 920 by 1080, and frame rate doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna make it 10 seconds long, and I'm gonna import my space file. Just gonna scale it down, or you can just click layer transform and fit the comp height. Once I have that, I'm gonna need to enable its 3D because it's gonna be 3D. I'm gonna create my camera, and I'm gonna rename my camera. I'm gonna make it 35mm because it's like the standard millimeter camera. Also, I'm gonna make sure the depth of field is disabled because we're not gonna need it for this project. So once we have that, I'm gonna create a new null. I'm just gonna link a camera to the null because that way the camera is way easier to control. Run control. Right. And I'm gonna set it up. So firstly, I'm gonna need to shift the my space layer in the Z space because we're going to be traveling towards it, so it needs to be quite far away. I'm just gonna set it like 2000 pixels away. I'm just gonna scale it up to size so it fits to the whole window, and I'm gonna make my camera travel towards it. So basically I'm just controlling the control layer which controls the camera. I'm just gonna enable it 3D, right, and I'm gonna make it so it travels forward. I'm gonna just leave it at the 5-second mark. I don't need a longer composition. You can just make it 10 seconds or like, it doesn't really matter. So right there is the base of this like effect. So you can see it from the custom view. The camera is traveling towards the faraway layer, right? Then the second thing we need is some stars. So in the original project, for the stars, I used the Trapcode particular plugin, but it's actually a paid plugin, so I'm not gonna use it. I'm just gonna use just a simple built-in After Effects particle system because, well, it's not quite as powerful as the Trapcode particular, but it will be way more than enough for this project. So I'm just gonna create a new null. Oh, I mean solid. Just gonna name it stars, right? And I'm gonna add the effect. Yeah, it's loading up all the effects, or you can just use the Video Copilot effects console. It's like way better. I'm just gonna, well, particle world. That's the effect I need. Or I can just search it right here, particle world. Once I have that, I'm gonna need to make a few adjustments. First of all, I don't really need the grid, and I need to change the producer and the physics and everything. So first of all, the particle itself, I'm going to need it to be like a white square, but because I couldn't find a white sphere, I couldn't find a white sphere in this like plugin, so I'm just gonna make it myself. Like, so first of all, I'm just gonna select faded sphere, and I'm just gonna create, like, increase the producer radius quite a bit, so it fits through the whole comp. Right, so now I need to see my particle, and constant, right? Is it faded sphere or is it shaded sphere? I think it's probably shaded sphere. Yeah, it's shaded sphere. This is not the most comfortable plugin like effect, but that's fine. We're just gonna have to use it. I have to correct the opacity map because it was set to fading in and fading out. We don't need that. So because the stars aren't going to actually move, we need to set the velocity to 0, gravity to 0, everything to 0 right here. So it just stays right in the place. And when I scroll through it, you can see actually that the camera is moving and the stars are getting closer. So the another thing I need is make sure that also these are black, so I could not find it how to make them white, so I'm just gonna force it. I'm just gonna invert the color, and then I have my white particles. Also, I'm just gonna like make them a little bit smaller, actually way smaller. It's like 0.1, 0.1, right? And then I'm gonna make sure that I increase the Z buffer producer radius quite a bit, so it looks better. Also, I can just increase these two. Bam. So now I have this scene. So it's a start. Also, I need to I need to have a constant number of stars at all times. So I'm just gonna birth rate. I need it like more, and I'm gonna longevity is basically how much the particles are gonna live. So I'm just set it like 30, 40, doesn't matter. And I'm just gonna scroll through it, and when I see that I have the right amount of particles that I need, I'm just gonna make it stop emitting. So birth rate, I'll just move 1 frame, and I'm just gonna like set it to 0. So it's no longer emitting, so it stays the constant. And then I'm just gonna cut the layer and drag it to the beginning. So I have, from the beginning of the video, I have like the full, all the stars I need, so they don't change, right? So that's the second step. Now we kind of need to adjust the stars a little bit because we can see that like they're way too big. They're way too big. And you can just adjust these based on your composition size. If you're following my composition size, then you can just, I guess, copy the values. But I would really encourage you to try and play with this yourself. So my stars should be like way smaller. And you also need to make sure that, well, maybe it's too small now. You need to make sure that the birth size and death size actually stays the same, because 0.04, is that better? And actually, if you don't like the way the stars are aligned, you can just go to extras and just change the random seed, so you get a different texture right here. But for example, I don't like this one, so I'm just gonna change the seed so it's not there. And actually, when I think about, oh, actually, I'm just gonna increase the birth rate to like maybe 6, so I have more particles. Or maybe decrease the... yeah, that's fine. Well, basically you need to adjust this based on the look you're going for. So I think this looks pretty cool. I'm just gonna add a glow effect real quick just to see the particles better. Yeah, you can see some of the particles pop out of the... yeah, and I'm just gonna add another glow effect just to push the... so it looks better. Right. So that's the big second step, the stars. The third step I'm gonna do is the effect that basically helps sell this whole scene, and it is the parallax effect. So I'm just gonna duplicate my stars layer by pressing Ctrl D and just click Edit, Duplicate, and I'm gonna make a mask. So I'm just gonna select any part of this, like a space scene that I like, that I want to look cooler. I really like this one, so I'm just gonna make a mask around it, and then I'm just gonna shift it back so it's closer to the camera. I'm just gonna scale it down maybe a little bit so it kind of looks, and I'm gonna go to mask, and I'll show you what this is doing just in a second. I'm just gonna feather it out a little bit. So if I go to my custom view, I can see that this part, this like cutout mask, is way closer to the camera than the background layer. So it creates this effect that this part is moving faster because objects closer to the camera appear to be moving faster. So that it is moving fast, I can just push the effect a little bit. I'm just gonna like rotate it so it looks more realistic. Well, I'm just gonna, and you can just really experiment with this. Like there's no need, like to your own taste. Maybe I should just shift it way closer to the to my camera, so it just makes a bigger effect. So now you can really see that this part is moving way faster than the background, and that helps to, like I said, sell the effect. Maybe feather it out a little bit more so it blends a little better. Right, so now this part is like really, maybe it's like too close. Yeah. Just gonna put it right here. And now, like for another part, maybe I can make another mask. So I'm just gonna duplicate it again. I'm gonna cut out this part right here. And I'm only cutting out the picture. I'm not touching the stars or anything. I'm also gonna set it to, I can show you. Set it like closer to the camera, maybe like 400. Right. Well, now I need to scale it down. And I'm gonna press F on my keyboard to call out the mask feather. I'm just gonna feather it. Again, like 300 pixels or something. Maybe rotate it just a little bit. Not that axis. This one. Yeah. I think this looks pretty good. Yeah, and you can see there's a edge. We don't want that, so we're just gonna decrease the feather so the edge disappears. Yeah, kind of like that. So right now this part is also going to move way faster. Well, just gonna shift the mask a little bit. Oh. Yeah, it's really important to play with this, so you just find the best working. So you can see that the sides are moving way faster than the background, than the middle, and that really helps to to make this whole effect come alive. So when I enable the stars, I can see this whole thing combined. like I can see this moving and this moving, and this kind of stays the same, but it's like moving a little bit closer. Okay, and one more thing you can do to help push this effect is add some rotation to your null layer, so it looks like the camera is like rotating a little bit, and you don't need a lot of rotation. Just I'll show you. So just set a few keyframes on like on X and Z position, and just the Z rotation basically rotates your camera like around this around the axis. So you can just set it like a little bit, maybe like 4 degrees, and that's enough. And X rotates your camera along this axis, so we can just add it like maybe -3 and just see how it looks. It basically helps push out the effect a little bit more, and the camera movement is not so linear. I think it looks way better. Maybe positive values, right? And basically this is the whole effect, and now you can like make a lot of adjustments to it, so it will look better. You can maybe set the blending mode to kind of like add, or I really like this effect because it helps to kind of blends the glows to the background of the whole like space. So if I had like some other colors in here, the glows would like turn those other colors like red or something. So yeah, that's basically the whole effect, and from here on out you can just apply like a lot of effects and just make it look better. Like how you see, maybe you have like some really cool plugins like Trapcode, Starglow, that like makes it look like really crazy. But these are all paid like plugins, so but actually it doesn't even look that good. Maybe the original look is what you want. Maybe it's like the best. Right, so I'm just gonna wrap up this show with an effect for you to experiment. I'm just gonna create a new adjustment layer, and I'm just gonna create an effect called optics compensation. You can also search it right here, optics compensation, and it's a great effect to create like this weird like uh, look, I'll just show you. You just click reverse lens distortion, and then you distorted the field of view. So basically what it does is the sides, like when there's animation, the sides move even faster, so it creates even the bigger effect. Like I haven't used this effect in like my previous like project 2 years ago because I didn't actually know it. So, and you can actually go crazy with it and like maybe create some crazy space travel effect. I don't know. Actually, that looks kind of nice. You can just keyframe it if you want to make it like it's increasing its speed like a lot, right? Really have nothing. So, and you can like uh, easy the keyframes to make it. So yeah, basically that's the whole effect. I'm gonna leave you to experiment for yourself, and I don't know. Good luck creating.